I would like to welcome you to the upper echelon. I want you to be honest and don't you lie. Don't you think of lying. Be for real. You're not a Bud Crawford fan. You just hate Spence, right? Hate it or love it, the underdog's on top. What's up, good people out there? I'm coming to you not as a Spence fan, not as a Crawford fan, not as a detractor, but I'm coming to you as a boxing fan. See, people are out here pushing the narrative that Spence want too much or Crawford want too much, and that's holding up the fight and that's holding up the fight. Well, when the truth of the matter is, when you got two great fighters such as Spence and Crawford, and this is supposed to be the biggest fight in the last 40 years, then the fight should be made regardless. And see, the problem is that the people behind the scenes like PBC and Showtime, they've really disrespecting these two fighters right there, and that's where the problem lies in. When you got fights that you don't want to see like Canelo and Alvar Yildirim and stuff like that, and they still making that type of money, and then you got the so-called biggest fight in 40 years. Everybody knows that you have two undisputed fighters, two undefeated fighters. One's a future undisputed, one's already undisputed, and they're coming to a clash. We haven't seen a clash like this since Sugar Ray Leonard and Tommy the Hitman Hearns, and even then Sugar Ray had a loss. These is two undefeated fighters, make up the biggest fight in the last 40 years. This is two people we want to see fight. This is a big fight, and everybody knows it, but they trying to be skimpy on the pot. If they would do the same thing that they did for Canelo, offering him two fights for $100 million and $20 million for the two opponents, that's $120 million for two fights, which roughly equals $60 million a fight. If they came to Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford with $50 million just for that one fight, that would take care of all the pot right there. That would take care of he's offering too much and he's wanting too much. It's what they offering the fighters at the beginning of the fight. You have to show them at least some respect. Both of them undefeated. But you got a guy like Canelo, no disrespect intended, but you got a fighter like Canelo fighting his sparring partner and still clearing $30 and $40 million. Now that's not right. And see, that's what the problem lies in, because they know there's more money out there and you're trying to offer them crumbs. But see, we can't really even blame PBC and Showtime for it. What we got to do is blame ourselves. This is a product of the things that we have done as boxing fans. Me, I pay for every Crawford fight and every Spence fight that's been on pay-per-view. They say Crawford sold $350,000 in 3 fights. I bought 3 of them. So he sold $347,000. But this is come to say I pay for every fight because I'm an analyst and a critique. And I feel like if you haven't paid for something, then you don't deserve to speak on it. But see, me as a customer, I buy the fights so I can speak on the fights. And the customer has a right to voice his pleasure or his dissatisfaction. And see, I've done purchased all fights that come out because I support the boxing. Even fights that I don't choose to pay for. I even got a subscription to the Zone. And they be putting out a lot of fights that don't mean nothing, but I still got the subscription because me being a boxing pundit, I have to display and I have to commentate and I have to report the news back to y'all. But we have people that's sitting here arguing about Spence and Crawford all day long. But all these people that's arguing about it, can't all of them say that they paid for all the fights? And see, that in turn is where the problem lies in, because ain't no company try to sit here and put out a fight and they think they're going to lose money on it. See, damn, Deontay Wilder was streamed 10 million views. Come on now, it's called stealing, it's piracy. Back when Napster was out, they had to shut it down because it was taken away from the artists. They were stealing whole albums and putting them out for pennies. And see, that's not right, because if you work, you expect to get paid for your job, your service, your craft. And it's not the same as we're stealing from the boxers and we're stealing from the promotional companies because we're trying to get the fight for free. That was the problem HBO had. Too many fights and not enough money coming in. That's why the Zone had to get their $1 billion bailout, because they're losing money. And if you want to last in this sport, you got to make money. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. But us, we got to think about it like this. We're taking food out of these people's mouths. You thinking, okay, I'm streaming a fight, I'm getting it for free. Yeah, you're doing that, but you're also pushing the product value down. And now that's much more harder. They have to work for less amount of money. And if everybody sit there and stealing and taking the fights and everything, then that leaves the pot a lot smaller. And if we say we appreciate fighters and we appreciate them giving us big fights and we want the fights to keep coming, then people, us as a whole, need to start paying for it. If you don't pay for the fights, they're not going to put the fights on. And then we got people up here crying and complaining all day on YouTube, and most of them haven't even paid for a damn fight. And if they don't pay for the damn fight, then these people ain't going to put the fights on. Now, I'm going to try to contact Showtime and try to ask them, can they do like a pre-fight buy where people can pre-buy the fight just to show them that the interest is there, that this is the biggest fight out there and that people will pay for it. But you still have the ones that sitting there arguing about the fight and arguing about the cut split that's still going to try to stream the daggone fight. And see, that's the problem. It's like the whole is getting punished for a few bad apples. And then when I say a few bad apples, 10 million streaming Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury fight, that's a whole damn orchard. More people streamed the fight than bought the fight. And it's a damn shame because these people go out there with their blood, sweat, and tears, facing death every time they come through there, and we can't pay for a damn fight. But then we want them to get in the ring with other fighters and keep risking their lives, but we're steady skimming off the top. Now, if we was mafioso or anything like that, skimming off the top get you killed. But we in here keep skimming off of this, and we expecting them to make the hard fights, to make the money fights. And there's no money there to make the fights because we done stole it all. And I'm just saying, I'm not blaming everybody because there's some good boxing fans out there that pay for it. But the ones that's out here that's not paying for the fight, and you know who you are. And then you run around here with these false narratives, oh, he ducking him, or he wants too much money. No, they want the right amount of money that they're supposed to get for the fight. When you got Canelo getting 50 million plus 10 for his opponent for a fight, and then you got two undefeated black prospects, black champions, black fighters, black future Hall of Famers is fighting, and they can't even garner the amount of money that he gets for two fights, then that is a problem there. That is a serious problem there. And it's brought on about us. That's why they don't sell newspapers the way they used to. Because people will grab 3 and 4 newspapers out the daggone slot. It's just we done came into a society where we like to steal stuff and stream stuff. The more technology we have, the less real people get paid. Because people trying to get an easy way and always trying to save a buck. Now, if they do make this fight, man, I hope everybody come out and support the fight, buy the fight, and do what's right. Because if not, then we're going to be missing out on a lot of bigger fights in the future. And see, when they coming up with the budget and how much that they can spend for this fight, take into account that you stealing 500,000 pay-per-view buys could be the reason why we don't get the fight. Or it could be as small as 200,000 pay-per-view buys could be the reason why a fight don't happen. You got to realize if you say that you're a fan of this sport and you just not just a fan of certain fighters, then you will try to help progress this sport. And if progressive means paying for what it's worth, then that's fine. If you go to Ruth Chris and get a steak and decide that you don't want to pay, they will lock your ass up. It's stealing, and piracy is stealing. And that's what I'm saying, people. We need to come together and try to make this fight happen, but we got to stop blaming the fighters because the fighters are just getting their just due. These people going out there for the biggest fight, risking their lives against their hardest opponent, and they just want to get paid correctly. Because in the end of the day, the suits going to get their money off the advertisement and all that right there. But they're not in the business of losing money. So if they can't cover the fighters off the gate and the pay-per-view, then we SOL. But then you got Showtime and PBC. When they putting a fight on regular TV, they have to cover the fight and the fighters. So that should at least give us some room and some leeway, because if they're not fighting on pay-per-view, you still got to pay for the fight. So you should give us a little extra leeway in that. But people, yeah, all I got to say is that's why the fight is being held up, is because of people that's out here streaming fights and stealing and getting stuff for free. And I ain't mean to rant, but I'm just saying that messes it up for all of us boxing fans who want to see the best fight the best. But the best won't fight the best until the paperwork is the best. And if a man ain't getting paid where he ought to get paid, then it's not going to happen. Nobody does nothing for free in this world, and especially in America, because we might be democratic, but we're also a capitalist society, and everything runs on money. So instead of dissing the fighters, we should big up these fighters and tell them we appreciate everything that they're doing, and we appreciate the fact that they both want to be great, and still holding on to the fact that the fight can still be made. Now it's up to us as the fans to make it loud and make our voice be known and let them know that we're willing to pay for this fight. We want to pay for Bud and Spence, because this is the biggest fight, and it'd be a shame to lose the biggest fight in 40 years over some money because people been streaming out the fights and there's no pot to pay for the fight. That's it. I'm upper echelon. Please like, share, and subscribe, and join my community where we have boxing uploaded, and we also have a group chat where you're not just a member, you family in there, where we discuss fighting and we discuss other things in life. Thank you.